Hello. Today we are going to talk about the process of amending the Constitution. There have only been 27 amendments. There are two methods to amending the Constitution, which we'll get into. So here we go. So the amendment process is explained fully in Article 5 of the Constitution. Really, it comes in two parts. Step one is the amendment is proposed. Step two is the amendment is then ratified. There are two ways of proposing and ratifying amendments. Okay, and looking at the amendment proposal process, option one is you have 2/3 of a vote in the House and the Senate. Option two is 2/3 of the states ask Congress for a convention. Using that model, within the convention, the amendment is then debated and voted on by the states. So far, all current amendments were proposed using the first method, where you had 2/3 in the House and the Senate. And looking at ratifying the amendments, you have two options as well. The first is that 3/4 of the state legislatures ratify the amendment, or two, the states all hold special conventions, and 3/4 of those conventions then ratify the amendment. The second method has only been used once, and that was with the 21st Amendment, which repealed the 18th Amendment. So let's look at that example real quick. With the 21st Amendment, each state legislature decided how delegates to the convention would be elected. And then each delegate ran on the promise to vote how they pledged to vote. So people directly the people directly had a say in the amendment process, even though it was a representative government. So this diagram, I think, does a good job of kind of showing you how an amendment is ratified. So you can see up top, following the gray line, 2/3 of the houses of Congress, or of both houses of Congress, can decide on proposing an amendment. Once that amendment's proposed, you need either 3/4 of U.S. state legislatures to ratify it, or 3/4 of the state conventions. The red represents the rarely used step, where you have 2/3 of the state legislatures propose the amendment, and you have 3/4 of the state conventions ratify it. But after it's proposed, after 3/4 of the state legislatures or the state conventions ratify it, and the amendment is ratified, then it becomes an actual amendment, a part of the Constitution. So we really only have 27 amendments, and there have been over 11,000 amendments proposed. Okay? And the question that one has to ask is, why are there so few amendments? Well, a lot of it comes down to there needs to be a broad national consensus for ratification. An amendment that makes sense for California might not make sense for Maine, Alaska, Florida, Colorado, etc. Smaller changes, they believed that the founders believed that smaller changes should be left up to the normal political process in terms of establishing new laws and writing bills and proposals and things like that, as opposed to simply amending the Constitution.